welcome back to r/NPD, this series where we review posts from the Narcissistic Support Group subreddit and offer to the anonymous individuals of the site professional support. I'm Sophia Vandermeer, published author, NLP practitioner and cognitive behavioural specialist. So without further ado, let's jump in. Our first post comes from user Charlie 2003/03 who says, "So human beings need social interaction. What are the key differences between this need and the need for supply?" I'm constantly baffled by this idea of supply. Isn't there some crossover as to the reason why we need social interaction and narcissistic supply? Social interaction satiates an apparent universal need to feel wanted and to feel validated. Is supply simply a more extreme manifestation of this? I recognise that with supply it is perhaps desires for admiration, etc. But I still wonder if the desire for admiration is more universal. Given that we suffer without social interaction, doesn't that also make the oxygen that is associated with the supply dependency? Hoping someone can clarify, and please provide other sources of info if you can. I'm trying to identify certain things about myself. Thank you. Human beings are pack animals. At our most base, we're programmed to oppose the absolute independency provided by isolation. The feeling of loneliness is a characterization of this, as often a sickening experience through which the standard person feels a sense of wrong and unease. Much the same can be said of boredom. It's why when that feeling sets in, we find ourselves drawn to other people for relief. Perhaps liken this to a myoclonic jerk. The myoclonic jerk occurs as a twitch in the limb when you're sleeping. It's an impulse sent from the brain to make the muscle move after a period of inaction, confirming that that limb is alive and operational. Loneliness and boredom, while more directly the response of our own actions, may be perceived as a survival instinct to confirm the presence of a pack. It is why the feeling is one of such unease, using its unique pain as often a motivator to drive us toward a state of being in which survival is more likely. Social interaction is similar, and yet it's also vastly different. On one hand, it serves to assure that we maintain a pack, like the ritualistic cleaning of, say, a chimpanzee species, devouring one another's ticks. There's a benefit, and so the rational mind should seek it out. But on the other hand, social interaction is an affirmation of value. The OP is correct in their identification of admiration as something universally overall sought after. It's not enough to want to be in a pack, but to be useful to the point and necessity of having merit. Humans want to feel indispensable. People offer affections in the hope of getting some in return. That they offer value should in turn make them feel valuable. An idea reinforced in the psychological conditioning proliferated in the dating scene. People are interested in people interested in them. Where this differs from a narcissist's need for supply is that the need for interaction is more attention on me based. It can be unconscious. The individual will seek negative or positive attention in the desire to be acknowledged. By having this, it creates some sort of worthiness that is innately absent. A person with NPD is damaged, has self-doubt, but will not necessarily admit this. Instead, what they do is they seek validation through others and their responses. It's not enough to be in the company of another. They need something specific from them. Attention, intimacy, or support. It's rarely done, though, with a mutual gain intended, though those interacting with someone with NPD will initially have a gain in some way. The problem is that in the long term, it's usually destructive, but it then may be too late to do much about it. Hence, long-term relationships, cults, or charismatic supposed do-gooders continue. For those suffering from narcissistic personality disorder, the need for supply comes from a desire to feel needed within the self. Narcissists generally base their realities on witnessed examples rather than the impressions, as a way of affirming what they want to believe. An offshoot of this is that narcissists have a subconscious belief that others also operate by this logic rather than emotion. Seeking supply leads to the direct assertion of one's own dominance, whether that be victory in a debate by attacking the opposing debater or simply putting someone else down via insult in a playful manner in front of others, or declaring how clever they are in some other respect. A truly confident person doesn't need validation in such a way, and therein lies the difference. In the pack animal paradigm, it is a socially evolved version of the desire to be the alpha, even if only to prove it to yourself. Narcissists want to see themselves as better, not so much as a part of the pack, but as above it. Now, there is no fault in wanting to be better. You should not be ashamed of wanting to stand out above others, but it should be with the recognition that there will be others better, cleverer, and more talented, and that is no actual blight on your own character. Where society takes issue with the narcissist is completely in their methodology.